Who is this man?
Bela Lugosi is one of the most instantly recognisable faces in horror film history.
I bid you welcome.
His version of Count Dracula in the 1931 Universal film has entered the popular psyche and, despite all the reinventions that have followed, remains the definitive vision of the character.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
And yet Lugosi's career foundered almost immediately, sending the actor into B-movies of ever lower quality.
It's criminal to waste it on such trash.
Many have suggested reasons for this, from Lugosi's temperament to political motivations, and this video is not going to elucidate that. What seems certain is that Universal never appreciated what they had in Lugosi as a popular star, and indeed as an actor.
My name seems to mean much to you.
As ever with Dark Corners, this is less a top 10 and more a canter through Lugosi's 4 decades in horror, at the top and at the bottom.
The story is begun.
Lugosi's association with the worst filmmaker of all time is portrayed in Tim Burton's film Ed Wood. And if that film takes some liberties with the truth,
Karloff does not deserve to smell my shit!
It also captures something of the power of Lugosi, both in his name and in his presence.
A race of atomic supermen that will conquer the world!
Wood was nowhere near being the worst filmmaker of all time, if only because, for all their ineptitude, his films are never boring. His first collaboration with Lugosi was Glen or Glenda, which is not horror.
Oh, snips and snails and puppy ducktails.
Hard to say what it is.
Hold the string! Hold the string!
Their most famous is Plan 9 from Outer Space, completed after Lugosi's death using pre-shot footage and with Wood's wife's chiropractor standing in. Not very convincingly, so this slot has to go to Bride of the Monster.
I will perfect my own race of people. A race of atomic supermen which will conquer the world.
Which is terrible, but has a consistent story and showcases the conviction of Lugosi's acting, even at this low ebb in his life and at the height of his morphine addiction. He knew he was making Drek, but he was an actor, he did his job, and he does succeed in wringing something out of this.
I have no home. Hunted. Despised. Living like an animal.
Bela Lugosi's silent film career is mostly lost to time, deterioration of film stock, and availability. Some of his early performances do still exist, but are not readily accessible. 1918's The Picture of Dorian Gray is the first Lugosi film that might be termed horror, acting under the name Alt Aristid, one of a series of films he made in his native Hungary for Star Films, a company that rather presciently had a bat for their logo. After moving to Germany, there are films like Slave of a Foreign Will, also known as Hypnosis, and Devil Worshippers, which admittedly is not as horror as it sounds. Although it's not horror, it's also worth mentioning Last of the Mohicans, if only because, by a remarkable coincidence, Boris Karloff also appeared in a version of that story in the US. Another German film might have been Lugosi's greatest silent horror. Der Januskopf, directed by Nosferatu's F.W. Murnau and starring Conrad Veidt, was an adaptation of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, with Lugosi in a supporting role. It is one of the most sought after of lost films. In the absence of these films, you might check out The 13th Chair, although it's not really horror.
These records show that this woman was heavily veiled.
And is a talkie, although it was also released in a silent version. Directed by Todd Browning, Lugosi may have been cast as an unofficial screen test for Dracula.
Well, I'm waiting.
To be honest, it's a bit stagey and a bit stolid, but It's the first time that voice was heard in cinemas.
She wasn't protecting your sister. She was protecting herself.
1941's The Black Cat, not to be confused with a much better film higher on this list, has a fabulous cast, including Basil Rathbone.
It was Abigail, unquestionably.
He thinks he's Sherlock Holmes.
And a brilliant production team, Stanley Cortez's cinematography particularly notable. Sadly wasted on a watered-down Cat and the Canary, Lugosi is just there to be suspicious and spends most of the film eavesdropping at windows. This is pretty typical. Lugosi was a fine comic actor, as you can see by this 1953 appearance on The Red Skelton Show.
It's so peaceful in the graveyard.
Like The Black Cat, most of Lugosi's comedy horrors are old dark house films of some sort, but sadly most cast him as a stooge to Kay Kaiser.
I beg your pardon. I trust I haven't disturbed you.
Not at all. Not at all. Come right in. Oh, you are in, aren't you?
The Ritz Brothers.
Did you say gorilla?
The East Side Kids.
He's dead.
Not at all. He's merely asleep.
Twice.
Oh, shit! What's that?
Abbott and Costello ripoff Brown and Carney.
If you will excuse me, I have some laboratory work to finish. Laboratory work? Anything we can help you with? There's nothing in the laboratory I can help with.
There may be something later.
Martin and Lewis ripoff Mitchell and Petrillo.
I'm Dr. Zabor. Welcome to my crib joint.
And Arthur Lucan in Mother Riley Meets the Vampire.
Do you like bats?
Which, from a Lugosi point of view, is probably the best of these because he actually gets some comedy.
I intend to build 50,000 robots. 50,000?
Yes.
But how many have you built so far?
One.
And seems to be enjoying himself.
You shall have steak and liver every day. All day. You need feeding up.
This blend of a comedy team with the old horror star anticipates the obvious winner in this category. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein gave an unexpected final appearance to Universal's classic monsters, and while some thought it disrespectful, Lugosi had a great time.
Making the most of life while it lasts.
Delighted to play Dracula again on film. It's a raucously enjoyable affair, making the most of its setting and its monstrous characters. It's the film that best showcases Lugosi's flair for comedy.
What we need today is young blood and brains.
There's more comedy, intentional and otherwise, amongst Lugosi's many ape films. We've already alluded to 1939's The Gorilla.
Make a note of that, Garrity.
Lugosi is there, as so often, to be a suspect.
Well, Kitty, what is all this racket about?
And stooge to the Ritz Brothers.
Who are you?
Me? Why, I'm Peter, sir.
Never mind that. What's your name?
Peter, sir.
Not good, but it is, and I've checked this, 1,000,000 times better than Bela Lugosi meets a Brooklyn gorilla. 1,000,000.
Now I can change a man into a gorilla.
Alongside Martin and Lewis ripoff, Duke Mitchell and Sammy Petrillo.
Oh, lady, you got us mixed up with two other guys.
For those who found the originals too subtle.
Gee, I want a girl just like the girl the other.
By contrast, Monogram's The Ape Man is practically tolerable. Lugosi is a scientist who has accidentally turned himself into an ape.
I must have human spinal fluids injected into me.
A transformation that amounts to a chin beard and a bad back.
I can't straighten up.
There's a fun turn by Minerva Urquhart as an eccentric ghost hunter.
This spirit in Scotland is known as the Galloping Ghost of Glen Moreda.
But this is one of Lugosi's most demeaning roles. Fortunately, and despite the title, Return of the Ape Man has no connection and is an improvement.
It's alive.
The last, and perhaps best, of the 9 films Lugosi made for Poverty Row outfit Monogram, it sees him put John Carradine's brain into the body of a revived caveman. A hybrid which alternates piano playing with strangling his wife. Feels like that marriage might have had problems already. It's fun, but to save this category, we have to go back to Lugosi's first ape film.
Behold, first man.
Murders in the Rue Morgue was a consolation prize for Lugosi and director Robert Florey, both of whom had been lined up for Frankenstein. But the budget was slashed and the finished film proved too strong even for pre-code sensibilities, Universal cutting a vast amount and re-editing what was left. Even without studio butchery, perhaps this was never destined to be a classic. It is entertaining, but marred by weak comedy.
Not German. Danish. German.
And pat characters.
With my bonnet.
At its best, however, it shows the skill of Universal's team, boasting some real horror. And dynamic set pieces. It's a great role for Lugosi.
My life is consecrated to great experiment.
Dr. Miracle is the most nuanced of his mad scientists. His single-minded obsession,
Her blood is perfect.
tempered by guilt at what he has done.
Will my search never end?
Much of Lugosi's career was spent outside the major studios, but there were interesting little films alongside the big ones.
What ship?
Mary Celeste.
We're including The Mystery of the Mary Celeste, or Phantom Ship, because it sees one of Universal's great stars in a film by cinema's other great horror producer, Hammer. Albeit before they discovered horror. It has a few chills. And Lugosi is fine, but it's a grim affair. Far more fun is Night of Terror, a ridiculous old dark house movie for which I have an inexplicable affection. As the turbaned butler, Lugosi has nothing to do but peer round doors.
Nothing but murder.
Well, that's the question. Equally ridiculous is Chandu the Magician, with Lugosi as the evil Roxor.
Civilization and all its works shall be destroyed. Men shall return to savagery.
Plotting world domination.
At last, I am king of all.
Sadly thwarted.
Be ready.
Lugosi also appears in the sequel, this time in the title role. The Return of Chandu was a serial, later edited into a pair of features, which are inevitably choppy and awkward, but a rare chance to see Lugosi as the hero, doing magic, saving the day, even getting the girl.
What do they call them? Zombies or something?
No, honey, there aren't any such people.
Back as the bad guy, Voodoo Man is another candidate for the best of the infamous Monogram 9. It's great fun. Lugosi is mad scientist.
I'm gradually increasing the intensity of these rays.
And zombie master. Attempting to resurrect his wife.
Mine.
With the help of George Zucco and John Carradine. But our pick for this slot is another zombie film. Career-wise, low-budget White Zombie was probably a mistake, and the fact that circumstances compelled Lugosi to make the film just a year after Dracula illustrates the actor's constant struggle for cash. But his misfortune is our gain. White Zombie is enjoyable horror hokum with a dominant performance by Lugosi as Murder Legendre. his delivery shifting from delicate precision
Only a pinboy, Monsieur Lamont, in a glass of wine.
to grim intensity.
Send me word when you use it.
The borrowed sets and glass shots make it look like $1 million, and the grim sugar mill scenes even manage some social commentary. Time has been kind to White Zombie. Its corner-cutting and overwrought acting now look like artistic stylization, creating an unreal atmosphere. Lugosi is mesmerizing. And while it can't be confirmed, according to the always excellent Clarence Muse,
They are not men, monsieur. They are dead bodies.
Lugosi directed some scenes. Muse, incidentally, gets the film's first line.
Zombies!
Reportedly, the first time that word was heard on film. One of the baffling things about Lugosi's career is that the value of his name never seems to have been in doubt, yet producers continued to cast him in insignificant roles. Based on the poster for The Black Sleep, his last film made during his lifetime, you'd think that he had a substantial role, but he barely appears. Although all anyone remembers of that film is John Carradine doing his Old Testament prophet bit.
Has Jerusalem fallen to us yet?
And lamping people with his crutch.
Another infidel!
And it's the case for good films too. His name is prominent on the poster for Island of Lost Souls, despite having a small, if memorable, role as the sayer of the law.
Law, no more.
For 1941's The Wolfman, there he is again on the poster. But Lon Chaney's dog probably gets more screen time. It's also true of the last great horror film Lugosi made, and the last time that he was paired with Boris Karloff, Robert Wise's The Body Snatcher.
You and I should work together.
In the credits, his name is ahead of Henry Daniell, who is unquestionably second lead, while Lugosi is very much in the background as Servant Joseph.
Joseph?
It's a wonderful film, but I can't pretend that Lugosi has much to do with that. He was cast for publicity value, he was in ill health at the time and did not enjoy it. At least we got one last face-off between the two greatest horror stars of their era. Few actors have played as many mad scientists, doctors and professors as often as Bela Lugosi.
He tampered in God's domain.
Constantly. We've already encountered a few, so here's an overview. In Zombies on Broadway, he creates zombies by science.
How can the natives do with their silly voodoo what I cannot accomplish by scientific means?
Darby Jones reprising his role from I Walked with a Zombie, and plays hide and seek with a monkey. In The Devil Bat, he takes vengeance by training a monstrous bat to attack a distinctive aftershave. In Shadow of Chinatown, he seeks to eliminate both white and Asian races with his diabolical inventions.
I have employed a Frankenstein monster.
She hasn't. In The Phantom Creeps, he seeks world domination with his diabolical inventions. Mother Riley Meets the Vampire, world domination with his diabolical robots.
Where is my robot?
Bride of the Monster.
I will perfect my own race of people. A race of atomic supermen which will conquer the world.
What he said.
It's a corpse, all right.
In The Corpse Vanishes, he keeps his wife alive by extracting the vital fluids of young virgins.
Are you trying to tell me that this Professor Lorenz is a hypnotist as well as a horticulturist?
While in Voodoo Man, he goes further.
Is your wife ill?
She's dead.
Resurrecting his wife by extracting the life essence of young virgins. In Murders in the Rue Morgue, he tries to prove the theory of evolution.
Eric's blood shall be mixed with the blood of man.
In novel fashion. In Bela Lugosi Meets a Brooklyn Gorilla, he turns a singer into an ape. In The Ape Man, he turns himself into an ape, then tries to turn himself back again.
Look! Stand up straight.
In Return of the Ape Man, he puts John Carradine's brain into a caveman.
You feel all right?
While in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, Dracula turns scientist as he tries to put Lou Costello's brain into the Frankenstein creature. In Black Dragons, which isn't even horror, he does plastic surgery on Japanese agents to make them look like American generals. And in The Raven, he tries to win the girl he loves by torturing her friends and family to death.
I tear torture out of myself by torturing you.
The Dark Eyes of London is borderline, really a mad insurance agent who dabbles in science, and I've got to mention Bowery at Midnight, in which he is not a mad scientist, but does sponsor one.
I will save you, Stratton. Save you from the dead.
Who is resurrecting the dead and keeping them in the basement. That's a lot, but special mentions to Dark Eyes of London, also known as The Human Monster, an enjoyable British thriller co-starring Greta Gint, here under attack by Wilfred Walter. Lugosi is suitably menacing.
You won't, Igor. I'll see to that.
And the corpse vanishes, Lugosi finding a nice chemistry with Val Luton favourite Elizabeth Russell.
She'll make a charming addition to our family.
As his ailing wife.
Look at me! Look at me!
Not the best of the Monogram 9, but it has a strong heroine in Luana Walters. And some memorable, if incomprehensible, images. But this slot obviously goes to The Raven.
Raven is my talisman.
Dr. Volin is unquestionably a doctor, distorting Boris Karloff's features and unquestionably mad. But the science doesn't really inform his plan.
What a delicious torture, Bateman.
Which is more of a hobby.
It's more than a hobby.
It's a rare Karloff-Lugosi collaboration that is undoubtedly Lugosi's film.
Gotcha.
It's also the film that best shows why Lugosi played so many of these roles, because in other hands, this would be ridiculous.
I'll soon be rid of my torture. Rid of it. And I'll be the sanest man who ever lived.
Few actors can sell over-the-top theatrics like Lugosi and stay on the scary side of plausible.
I like to torture.
Alongside his more recognisable roles in Universal's classic franchises, Lugosi made a number of other horror films for the studio, some of which we have already encountered. Night Monster is a largely forgotten film.
Blood. The whole house reeks of it.
An old dark house story with a slew of murders. Lugosi is top billed alongside Lionel Atwill.
Personally, I feel we're doing great work.
Though neither has much to do. Nicely shot and entertaining, although the payoff is bizarre. Lugosi was originally to play the scientist in Black Friday, but lost the role to Karloff and is sidelined as a gangster.
Mr. Ed Cannon now belongs to the history of crime.
He and Karloff are never even on screen together. Similarly, for The Invisible Ray, the role of Dr. Janosch Rook, played by Karloff, may have been intended for Lugosi and seems more in his wheelhouse.
I could crumple up a city 1,000 miles away.
That said, he's excellent as Dr. Benet.
We meet at last. But we already know each other.
For once, he is neither monster nor villain. His science is sane. There's no romantic obsession or plans to rule the world. It's the most normal role of his horror career, and it's nice to see.
Yes, very.
But this slot belongs to the best of the Karloff-Lugosi vehicles and one of the best films that either man made, The Black Cat.
I go to visit an old friend.
This is another chance to see Lugosi as hero, and I love the detail of his performance, but it's a very Lugosi hero.
Many men have gone there. Few have returned.
A long and hellish incarceration, combined with the loss of his wife, has driven Dr. Vitus Verdegast into vengeance and insanity.
Why is she like this?
You expect a mad scientist, but only Bela Lugosi would play a mad hero.
Do you know what I'm going to do to you now? Did you ever see an animal skin, Hjalmar? That's what I'm going to do to you now.
Arguably, the real star here is director Edgar G. Ulmer. This is a film that replaces narrative with atmosphere.
It may well be an atmosphere of death.
Yet remains compelling. Its style and menace far more important than the plot, and the performances are part of that.
Supernatural, perhaps. Baloney, perhaps not.
I've said before, this is the one film that puts the two stars on an equal footing. The intensity of their performances matching what was demanded by Ulmer's unreal setting.
Is that a challenge, Vitus? Yes, if you dare.
I love it. Despite the title and his introduction, Lugosi does not play a vampire in Mother Riley Meets the Vampire. It's merely an alias. Likewise, in Mark of the Vampire, spoiler, he's not a vampire, he's an actor.
I was greater than any real vampire.
Fulfilling an extraordinary piece of plotting in Todd Browning's remake of his own London After Midnight. Columbia's Return of the Vampire is more promising. A classical vampire resurrected in wartime London, albeit a wartime London that is noticeably gothic. It was Lugosi's long-awaited return to the role that had made him famous.
I have waited for this moment for a long time.
In all but name. For legal reasons, this is Armand Tesla, and any resemblance to a better-known vampire is purely coincidental.
A fantastic something that draws blood from the human body through the jugular veins of its victim.
Meaning that, on the big screen, Lugosi played Dracula, the role with which he will be forever associated twice. In Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, and of course, in the original Dracula. He played the character on stage a lot, but I still think it's a surprise to many how few times he did on film. Almost as big a surprise as me placing this at number 2. It is Lugosi's definitive role, and for a reason. No one captured the mesmeric power of Dracula like Bela Lugosi, embodying the Count in a way that is simultaneously sinister, seductive, and inhuman. Seldom in film history has an actor been so perfect in a part that it simultaneously made and destroyed his career, because he could never be anything else.
I am Dracula.
He is, and people did treat him like that.
I never drink. Why?
As a film, I like Dracula. I don't love it. It has an extraordinary atmosphere. And its opening act in Transylvania is brilliant. Lugosi aided by Dwight Fry's Renfield. Another career-making / breaking performance. It does weaken when it moves to London, tripping over its stage origins.
What's that? Running across the lawn. Looks like a huge dog.
Set pieces falling flat.
Yes?
Look out, he'll get in your hair.
It's a flawed film with a phenomenal central performance. That said, even were it better, I wonder if it would change my number 1. Horror fans must have already realised where this was going, because there are 3 films noticeably missing. Bela Lugosi's appearances in Universal's Frankenstein series range from the brilliant to the catastrophic. His whole career might have been different if he had played the creature in the 1931 Frankenstein as originally intended, rather than 12 years later in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. It was physically exhausting for the 60-year-old actor, and the result was not worth the effort, for reasons that I have detailed in other videos, so suffice it to say, it's not his fault. The creature he is playing is blind and could talk. In the previous two films of the series, Lugosi plays one of my favourite characters in the Universal canon.
How does it feel to face a man you thought your brother killed, Doctor?
My first encounter with the broken-necked, gleefully wicked Igor was in Famous Monsters of Filmland's retelling of Ghost of Frankenstein, and I've had an affection for that film ever since. For all its weaknesses,
My brain and his body.
It's fun. But it's Son of Frankenstein that Igor steals. All the more remarkable as he wasn't originally in the script.
Because I stole bodies. They said.
Again, oft-told story. Lugosi was originally to play the police inspector, but director Roland V. Lee created a new role for him.
My name is Igor.
Lee then built that character when Universal, knowing how desperate Lugosi was, tried to short-change the actor. With Lee rewriting as production went along, the whole tenor of the story changed, with Igor emerging as the lead protagonist.
8 men say Igor hanged. Now 8 men dead. All dead.
The creature is merely the mechanism of his revenge. Lillian Lugosi said of Lee, he was the one Hollywood director who pitched in when Bela was desperate. Why am I putting this at number 1? Firstly, I do think it's a better film than Dracula. The opening of Dracula is better, but as a whole. Secondly, this is a Bela Lugosi top 10, and I do think this is his best acting performance. Yes, Dracula is the role he was meant to play, the role for which he will be rightly remembered, but Igor is better because it isn't the role he was meant to play. Lugosi can sometimes come across as a limited actor, the same mannerisms over and over. This shows there was more to him. On paper, no one casts the elegant Bela Lugosi as the snaggle-toothed blacksmith coughing over everyone.
Hey!
Lugosi is Dracula. He isn't Igor, but he vanishes into that character.
This is place of the dead. We're all dead here.
Thirdly, I love Igor. Always have.
You go away! Not me!
You might be asking, where's the mysterious Mr. Wong? How can you include the 13th chair but not Death Kiss? To which I can only say, we included like 50 films in a top 10. You've got to draw the line somewhere. As is becoming traditional, here's my actual Bela Lugosi top 10 horror films. 10. Having said that this is a proper top 10, I'm putting Island of Lost Souls and The Body Snatcher jointly here. Technically, they should be higher, but it's ridiculous to call them Bela Lugosi films, but it would also be insane to leave them out. 9. White Zombie. It is the standout of Bela Lugosi's low-budget films. 8. The Invisible Ray. A flawed film, but the effects are great and it's an underrated Lugosi performance. 7. Murders in the Rue Morgue. When it's bad, it's flat, but when it's good, it's great. 6. Ghost of Frankenstein. I love Igor. 5. The Raven. The archetypal mad scientist performance, even if there's not much science. 4. Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. I'm surprised how high this is, but It's enjoyable and it's great to see Lugosi having a ball. 3. Dracula. If only the whole film was as good as the opening, but what a performance. 2. Son of Frankenstein. That's thrown you, hasn't it? 1. The Black Cat. Looked at purely as a Lugosi film, this doesn't feel like it belongs at number 1, but just as a film, I adore it. It is hard to look at Bela Lugosi's career and not feel some sadness and some anger that those in power did not see what the public clearly did. There should have been more great films, more films in which he is not the only one propping everything up. But if the films are too often forgettable, the performances never are. If Lugosi is too often cast as a stereotype of himself, then at least it's a stereotype that we are always happy to see.
Your fate is to be what you are, as mine is to be what I am.
There is only one Bela Lugosi.
Say, why don't you try to get that actor, Bela Lugosi? It's right up his alley.
Thanks for watching, and special thanks to our Patreon and YouTube membership supporters, of whom there are now so many that I really have to string this bit out so there's time for all of their names to appear on screen. What's your Bela Lugosi top 10? It's harder than for most horror icons because in great films, he was seldom the star. Let us know in the comments below.